that in 2012, the use of birth control has become controversial. Birth control isn't just for family planning. It's preventative care and treatment. It's medication that most women need and use at some point in their lives. And it is as common in a woman's medicine cabinet as cough medicine.
Oh, wait a second. This is the Dreams of Our Daughters ad? Oh, no. This is from BarackObama.com, right? This is from the campaign. Dreams of Our Daughters. Is that his daughter's dreams, too? To make sure you have you have your medicine cabinet stocked with, what? Birth control pills, abortifacient drugs. Yeah, oh no. My 6-year-old would like to be a doctor, and my 10-year-old wants to be a fighter pilot. But to do so, they need to have a lot of birth control in their medicine cabinets. Oh, okay. This is the level of ads coming out of the Obama campaign as the New York Times is hyperventilating. Oh, the tone of this campaign coming from the Romney people and their super PACs, oh, they could be very aggressive. Makes everybody uncomfortable. Well, does this make anybody uncomfortable? Using little kids in ads to push birth control? Oh, free birth control, because if it's not free, you don't have access to it. Do you see the insanity of all of this? And I've got to tell you, it's not just the Obama campaign that continues to drive this narrative, this very divisive narrative, the war on women, the war on Hispanics, the war on gays, the war on da-da-da-da-da. Oh, he has his proxies in the U.S. Senate. And one of his favorite liberal proxies is Kirsten Gillibrand. Remember, she walked into that Senate seat when Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State in New York. She is consistently voted, along with old Bernie Sanders from Vermont, as the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate, which is why she needs to be defeated. She has picked up this war on women narrative, especially on the issue of contraception. Let's listen.
Many of us are outraged, really outraged. At this day and age, in the year 2012, we should not be debating access to birth control. In fact, no employer, no boss should be making a decision about what health care their employees should be eligible to take.
No, I mean, they should have to be forced to pay for it. Because if it's not free, you don't have access to it. Now, interesting stuff happening in New York. I just want to set the stage for everybody. There is a primary going on in New York, and for the GOP. And whoever wins this primary in June is then going to go up against Gillibrand. So who's the best person to run against Gillibrand? We have three people in the primary. We have Bob Turner, who is a congressman from New York, who is going to be, he's gerrymandered out of the district because it's now gerrymandered in a way that he's never going to get reelected. So he's running. And then it's this guy, George Maragos, who's a very nice businessman from Long Island. And then there's Wendy Long, of course, female conservative, top lawyer at one of the top law firms in the United States before she stepped aside to become a mom for a while, worked at the Judicial Confirmation Network, critical work done to ensure the confirmation of Sam Alito to the Supreme Court and John Roberts, obviously a constitutional background, and a citizen legislator if she wins this primary. She clerked for Justice Thomas on the court, and no one, of course, questioning her intellectual credentials and her judicial credentials, given her background. And Wendy Long joins us now. Wendy, that's a long build-up. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, thanks. How are you, Laura?
I'm fabulous, and we've linked up Wendy's information on lauraingraham.com. You go to the guest section. This is a very competitive primary, and I don't usually get involved in primaries, but when I want to win a seat, as much as I want to win the seat in New York, we have to have the best person up against Gillibrand, and it's obviously a woman conservative to go up against a very, she's an attractive female Democrat, but incredibly left-wing. Wendy, Gillibrand has made this war on women narrative a centerpiece of her own image and her own campaign. What is your response to this amidst the hard-fought primary going on?
Well, one thing, Lori, I have a slight correction to what you said in the intro. She is actually to the left of Bernie Sanders. She is ranked in the latest National Journal rankings as the Senate's #1 liberal. And she's to the left, not only of Chuck Schumer, but also of Bernie Sanders. She takes the cake.
I stand corrected.
And part of the reason she does is she votes for things like federal funding for ACORN, and you're absolutely right. She's become Senator Contraception, and she's trying to exploit this alleged phony war on women. And the reason is, Laura, she has absolutely nothing to say about the real issues that concern not only women, but everybody in New York and nationwide, which are jobs, the economy, the budget deficit, the approaching $16 trillion debt that you and I and everybody are going to hand to our kids, taxes, spending, in American energy independence. You know, here in New York, we've got the solution to that right under our feet. And she opposes hydrofracking. It would be an incredible source of jobs and energy independence and security for our state
natural
and our country.
gas. Yeah, natural gas exploration in the state. And she fired back at you after you launched a very effective and fact-based analysis of her position on this, and she came back and she said, well, no, we're just saying it has to be, we have to weigh other concerns and make sure it's done responsibly.
Right. No, I mean, what you get from her is just a lot of fluffy talk to conceal the fact, attempting to conceal the fact that she is doing nothing more than carrying water for every hard left interest group in the country. And in this case, it's the radical environmentalists. Fracking has been established and natural gas drilling to be safe. Our ability to do it is established, and she's just beholden to far-left environmentalists and opposing it. Of course, she's going to run into trouble for this, so she's whipping up this war on women rhetoric to try to distract attention from the real issues in this race in New York.
And Wendy, the primary here is, this is a hard-fought contest among the GOP in New York. And Bob Turner, it's some name recognition, obviously, because he won that Anthony Weiner election last year. It seems like it was 5 years ago, but it was last year, right? And meanwhile, in June, this will all be determined. Why are you better suited to take on Gillibrand than someone like a Bob Turner?
Sure. Well, for one thing, I'm already on the November ballot. Unlike my two opponents in the primary, I am the nominee of the New York Conservative Party, which is very influential in this state. So I'm already on the November ballot, unlike my two opponents. I'd obviously like to get the Republican designation as well. And I think I'm a better advocate to go against Kirsten Gillibrand because of the background you referred to in the intro. I mean, I have a background of defending the Constitution and limited government, and that's what this election is all about. I mean, no matter what issue you look at, whether it's the solvency of the federal government or the survival of free enterprise or the very character of our nation, all those things are at stake. It comes down to following the Constitution, limited government, freedom and prosperity, and there's a choice between two very different paths. And I have a background of fighting those issues at a national level, unlike both of my opponents, who are very good men. You know, we're similar on many issues. I very much regret that my friend Bob Turner recently said he'd put tax increases potentially on the table. I do not think that's a good way to go. I think
tax increases.
Yeah, I mean, he said that he would consider it, and I just think that that's absolutely wrong. We can't give an inch on that. I agree with Ronald Reagan. We do not have budget deficits because the American people aren't taxed enough. We have deficits because the government spends too much. And we Republicans and conservatives have to hold the line on that. We cannot give an inch on tax increases.
And Wendy, what has Kirsten Gillibrand done to try to put a budget on the table? The Democrats haven't passed a budget in 1,100 plus days.
No, I mean, the Senate in the entire 3 years since David Patterson handed Kirsten Gillibrand her new job on the other side of Capitol Hill, and I like to say I think she was this moderate upstate congresswoman who was in favor of fiscal discipline and said she kept her guns under her bed. David Patterson gave her this job. She walked from the House side to the Senate side of Capitol Hill, and she went into some political witness protection program and came out the other side, a huge liberal. And since she's been on the other side of the Capitol Hill, the Senate has failed to produce a budget for 3 entire years. That is inexcusable.
Yeah, so, I mean, how do you run on a record of accomplishment if when you're in charge of the U.S. Senate, your party's in charge? And as far as I can tell, I've done some research into this just today, I don't see where Kirsten Gillibrand has pushed her party to actually pass a budget, where she's demanded that this party pass a budget. Now, you could say if she had done that, she's a junior senator, she only has so much power. But I don't find any information here about Gillibrand having done that, demanded her party pass a budget.
You know what, Laura? If you or I had that seat, or any one of the, thousands of people I've been talking to as I travel around the state of New York, any one of us could walk into that seat and put together a proposal for a federal budget and introduce it and put out a press release about it and say, you know what, I'm not going to sit here. My colleagues aren't doing this, but I'll step up to the plate and do it. Anybody can do that. There are 100 senators, and any one of them could step up and do that. She has not done that, nor have the rest of them. And it's frankly inexcusable. The rest of us out here in the Obama-Gillibrand economy have to balance our family budgets, and as people are struggling to do that while paying her salary, the fact that she hasn't done that, I think, is inexcusable.
Well, is New York in play for Republicans nationally, Wendy? We're talking to Wendy Long, a Conservative Party candidate for the Senate seat in New York up against Kirsten Gillibrand. She hopes to win this GOP nomination as well, coming up in just a few weeks in June. But, Wendy, I'm concerned that people write New York off. We can never win New York. It's a lost cause. Well,
yeah.
I don't think Reagan ever did that. That's why he won states like California and New York.
No, well, Ronald Reagan won this state 2 times, Laura, if you'll remember. The other thing is, if people want to see what the real situation is, please go to my website, which is www.wendylongfornewyork.com. Take a look at the information we have there, what people are saying around New York, the endorsements I've gotten, what's being said about the race. Take a look at that, and you will see that New York is very much in play. Of course, the pundits don't have it on the map yet. We just need to move the needle a little bit to make this a live issue nationally. But the fact is, if you talk to people around this state, I think there's a lot more support for what we're talking about than there is for what Kirsten Gillibrand has been doing. So,
yeah, Wendy. Wendy Long for New York. Is it NY or Y? We have it up on our website, but I don't have it.
It's all spelled out. Every word is spelled out. Wendy Long for FOR New York spelled out.
Spelled out. Okay. .com. So we can learn more there. But I think that's a great point that you raised, Wendy. It's under the radar now, but so was the governorship of New Jersey. Nobody thought that Chris Christie could win New Jersey. No. Nobody thought Scott Brown was going to win that Massachusetts Senate seat, and lo and behold, he won. Christie won, and now we're seeing a revolution slowly starting to take hold across this country, where people are fed up. And I think people in New York want a common sense approach to how we govern that state and how this country is governed. And Kirsten Gillibrand might be the nicest person ever, okay? I'm not going to go into that. But she has been an unmitigated disaster when it comes to competence and management and the basic responsibilities that a U.S. Senator needs to do, which is push her party to pass a you-know-what budget.
Yeah, you're right to cite Scott Brown, because that's an analogous, red Republican winning in a blue state. But also, Laura, Congress is full of people from the 2010 election who the naysayers said, they don't have a chance. And guess what? They're now sitting in Congress. So I don't believe any of that talk. I think the American people are in charge, and I think they are fed up with this Congress, and I think they're fed up with people who go around talking about this phony war on women instead of talking about jobs and the economy and energy and debt and deficits. Those are the issues that concern Americans in this election year.
Wendy Long, she is the Conservative Party candidate for the New York Senate seat. She is seeking the GOP nomination as well. I think people hear Conservative Party and they love it. I think people are fed up oftentimes with the Republican Party. When they hear Conservative Party, that's our person. We want that person. I think it's great. I love the Conservative Party in New York, and I had so much fun at the convention when I was there with you, Wendy. You brought the house down. That was an amazing day.
Well, thank you. That was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun, especially because you were there. Laura was a rock star at that convention. I'm sure your fans and listeners know that.
It was Wendy, but I want people to go to Wendy's website. She needs as much help as possible. We need to get common sense conservatism, constitutional conservatism back front and center in this country as we try to rebuild America and restore those basic principles that always we need to hold dear. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us. WendyLong4NewYork.com. I want you to go to the website. Wendy, thanks so much. We'll check back with you, I'm sure, before the primary. Best of luck out there.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, we're going to take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. We have a lot more to get to. The gloves are off, it looks like, if Mr. Joe Ricketts has anything to say about it. And guess what? Apparently he's not worried about being on the Obama's enemies list. That's my kind of guy. We got to get Joe Ricketts on the show. Let's take a break. In the tone of this campaign so far does not disturb me. Don't go away.
How strong is a woman? Laura Ingraham Show.